Have you been rejected before? Did that hurt? Like you playing with someone and suddenly they don't want to share the toys, or you apply for a job and they just give to somebody else, or you invite someone on a date and they just don't go with you. If you can relate, stick around because this video is for you. I want to talk about why do we have a problem with rejection, why it hurts so much, why we're stressing about that, and of course, what to do about this. And I'll give you 3 tips. The second one, it really changed a lot how I'm thinking, not only about my business clients, but also how my dating and people in my life. And the last one, I think can ring a bell a lot with those who are very into manifestation and all of those things. Okay, but before we go there, I've been rejected this weekend, and I used to have a problem with that. I will be very upset. Yes, definitely I was a little bit upset, but then I really shifted very quickly from that because I understand there's a meaning to something, right? So why we have a problem with rejection in general? First of all, we humans. I mean, I'm assuming everybody who's watching this video is a human, right? We need other humans because the whole human experience cannot be just understood and experienced without other people. And we're always born into some sort of group. And in order to survive, we want to please them. Because, as you know, a child being born so feeble, they need other adults to take care of them and feed them and, clothe them and all of that. Otherwise, well, when, we're a baby, we're going to die. So we learn that we need to tune in into people. We need to, manage our emotions through them. We need to be cautious. We need to be loving. We need to get attention from them. We need to please them in order to survive. And we get so intertwined and meshed up sometimes that as soon as we get a little a word no, it triggers so much in us. It triggers our survival mode, and we may feel like we're going to die. And I know, sounds funny, but that's how it is. It's all about survival in your brain, right? And in addition to, if you grew up in a family where you're not being seen for who you are, you've been, imposed some social rules, cultural rules, family rules, in even simple like, well, at 8 p.m. you need to go to bed, but they still want to see something on TV. They're like, no, you're not. That's rejection. That's rejecting your wants. Then there's so much of rejection about your needs, because if you want to be seen and appreciated and you want to cuddle and you have an affection and you just don't live with very cuddly people around, you will be neglected that too. So rejection for us, it really triggers so much of fear of abandonment and survivalism that even when we're adults, we still react to that very badly. So what are the things that helped me a lot to deal with my rejection issue and me stressing out and crying my eyes out and, thinking that the world is over? The first thing that helped me was to understand that's not even about me. You're like, what do you mean? It involves me. How it's not about me? If you didn't get the job, if you didn't get the date, if you didn't get something and they told you no, it takes 2 to tango. Maybe they're not ready for someone amazing like you. Maybe they are not ready to move on with something. Maybe they're not ready for a relationship because they still need to work on something. Maybe they know that you're such a great candidate that, for work position, that they will not be able to pay you all the money that you probably would want. Many times, especially in dating, I heard that men leave some women because they realize that they will not be what she wants. And as a woman, I'm thinking, are you kidding me? But apparently that's what the truth is. And if you don't agree with me or agree with me, leave me a comment below. And when we get a rejection and somebody says no, think about that might be not even about you. You could be great in whatever ways you want, dating, jobs, projects, anything. It's just that other side is not ready for you yet. Or never will be ready. But you should not be taking this as a very big criticism and saying, oh my gosh, I'm being neglected, hence I'm going to die. And again, if you grew up with big or small childhood trauma and it triggered your fear of abandonment, it's going to hurt you very, very much. So when you think, oh, wow, so how am I going to deal with this? First, you need to really start thinking about how you're going to regulate your emotions. But that's why I love my calm process. And what is my calm process? It's moving through all the stages when you're in any stressful situation, and all of this in the description below, so you can go and get actually for free my whole calm process. But this video is not about that. And so think about it. Was it ever in your life that you find out later that was a good thing, that you did not get something? And that's actually the second thing that helped me a lot in my dating and relationships and business and everything, is understanding you don't know what you've been saved from. The first time I heard this, I was like, what do you mean? I was reading some business book about how to get more coaching clients. That was years ago. And they said, do not cling on those people who don't want to work with you. Like, don't start pushing them into doing something. Same goes in dating. And what they say, the more you chase, the more they run. You don't know what you've been saved from. I was like, weird. But here's the challenge. Do you remember those people that you knew before? And especially when you're like in teenage years, you're like, oh my gosh, there's this girl, there's this boy, I want them so much, I will love them forever. And then they break up with you, and then you feel rejected, or they didn't even never go with you on a date. And then you're feeling so stressed out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a loser, nobody will love me, I'm gonna die alone. Of course, you graduate high school, you move on with your life. Later on, you're like, and actually that happened to me. And then the years later, you see that person and you see who they became, and you're like, that's not what I want. So yes, you've been saved from something that wasn't working for you. And you see why it's so painful? Yes, it triggers fear of abandonment and rejection. But also we need to realize, maybe we know our own side, but we don't know the other person's side. Many times when we're in the situations when we get rejection, we don't even know what's happening on the other side. And many times, all what we see is a beautiful thing, like a catalog, kind of like a resort, when have you ever booked a vacation, like all those inclusive resorts, or even looking for a hotel, and you go on the website pictures, and there are those beautiful pictures, everything's so new, and there's like all the happy couples over there, the buffet is like full of amazing food, and then you finally get there and you realize, wait a minute, this is not even close. Those pictures were done like 20 years ago when this place actually opened, and you feel disappointed. So imagine if somebody, before you booked that room, came to you and said, listen, this place sucks, don't do this. You'll be like, oh my gosh, thank you very much. So that is how it is with rejection. You don't know what you've been saved from. And for those who are religious or believe in higher power or whatever, think it as, you're not being given this because it's not good enough for you. Or maybe you're not ready for this yet, and you need to, grow into something. You need to still learn about yourself. It's just kind of have to work with this, but also make sure that when stress happens because of rejection, ask yourself, okay, why am I stressing out? Was it triggering me? Because usually those things are just triggers that really come from a wounded place where the actual wound is not being healed. So before you jump into conclusions, when you start dealing with rejection and thinking, oh, this is all about me, I'm a loser, I'm not enough, I'm all of those things, ask yourself, okay, who is talking in my head right now? Where are all of those thoughts coming from? And most of the time, we manage stress as we've been taught to manage stress. You probably learned this way to react to rejection, probably from your parents, from the environment that you grew up. So in a way, listen, give yourself a break. You're doing the best that you can. Like, really, you need to understand this. And even in those moments when you realize, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm stressing out too much about this, look at yourself with the empathy. Because if you are feeling something, great, congratulations, you're human. But now when you know this, then you can start helping yourself. And if you think, no, I will never find a job, I will never find a mate, I will never do anything, all those. Remember, how many times have you thought about this before? Like maybe you were unemployed before and you got so desperate of thinking, I will never find a job. And then next week you got like 2 jobs. That's what happened with my friend. Like last weekend, she told me she was looking desperately for a job and couldn't find it because she got laid off recently. And then she has 2 jobs now. And both of them know that they have each other. And they're like, yeah, as long as the job is done, we fine. Bizarre, isn't it? And make a list for yourself of all of those things that happened to you in your life that you thought you will not get it, and it turned out to be for the better, or maybe something else came along. Let's move on to the third part, and where I said that it has a lot it really can relate to those. And please leave me a comment below and tell me, does that relate to you too? When there's this movement now for a long time about, oh, you need to put your thoughts into something and you need to manifest things, and you can manifest the money, you can manifest the relationships, you can manifest all of this. And then you get rejected and you're like, am I not doing this right? What's wrong with me? Yes. And again, we go back to the same thing: triggers, fear of abandonment, all of those things of thinking you're not doing enough, you're not good enough, you still need to push yourself forward. And you need to remember that there's always a timing for that. Yes, everything is happening for a reason. And what I just talked about, the first and the second one. But remember this, and I'm basically, that's not even my idea, because I read the book and I forgot what book it was. I read so much, but he said just because it hasn't happened, it doesn't mean it will never happen. It just hasn't happened yet. And that gave me hope, because of thinking, oh, okay, good, all right. Because what makes us so stressed out is that we've been hurt by the past, so we are afraid of the future. And we, especially that grew up with some of traumas and fear of abandonment and all those triggers, we cannot control the situation, because this means you didn't get the job, you didn't get the money, you didn't get the date, all of this. You feel hopeless. So because you feel like you're going to lose control, you're feeling that you're going to die. So you're afraid of the future. But if you remind yourself that just because it hasn't happened yet, it doesn't mean that it will never happen. Also, a better job, a better mate is maybe around the corner, and let's just wait and see. And when you make a list of all of those things that you got later, or you figured it out, it was a blessing in disguise that you didn't get something, you've been saved from something. Those moments when you're feeling so stressed out and you feel like you're losing control, read that list. Remind yourself, yes, this is going to pass, and you will arrive in the proper place where you need to be. And then take care of yourself, do your self-love, do your emotional regulation techniques, do your stress management. And of course, if you need help, I'm here for you. So if you want a stress management consultation, go to my website, beamazingyou.com, and get that session. And of course, don't forget to go to the description and get the link where you can get my free calm process. It's full of videos explaining every step in detail and worksheets. So see you there.